So in the previous classes, we were discussing from chapter 25, wherein being requested by Mother Devahuti about how I can be delivered from the bondage of samsara. So to that, Lord Kapila said that you need to practice Adhyatmika Yoga consisting of Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, for which there are so many rules and regulations, what to do, what not to do, etc. etc. But among those three, Bhakti is the most auspicious path which awards the highest result. In fact, which awards the results of Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and also of Karma Yoga. So then how one is supposed to practice Bhakti? One can understand about Bhakti and then practice Bhakti only in the association of devotees. Then who are devotees? How to identify devotees? What happens to us when we come in the association of devotees, when we start practicing Bhakti? That is all mentioned there. So when we come in the association of devotees with the small faith, with the small neophyte faith, we gradually progress step by step. Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhutanga, Tata Bhajana Kriya, Arartha Nivrutti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. Like that, devotee comes to the platform of Prema. That will be the ultimate and final result of Bhakti, which is understood and which is practiced in the association of devotees. And by practicing Jnana or Ashtanga Yoga along with little Bhakti, one attains Sayujya. One becomes freed from the samsara and attains Sayujya. So that is being stated by Lord Kapila in brief in the first half of the 25th chapter. Then Mother Devahuti asks Lord Kapila, so my dear Lord, you are telling that by practicing Bhakti, one comes to the platform of Prema and will be able to serve the Lord in the Prema platform. So kindly tell me what kind of Bhakti I am supposed to practice so that I will come to this platform of Prema and will be able to serve you in person. So that was the first question. And then she says that just the way you are going to speak about Bhakti, similarly speak about Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga also. I would like to know them also. So, I mean, there could be a doubt in the future that I have heard about Bhakti and practiced Bhakti. There are so many difficulties in Bhakti. I should have practiced Jnana or Yoga. So one should know about the comparative study of Jnana and Yoga, other processes and also their goals. So for that reason, may you kindly speak about Jnana, Jnana Yoga, the practices of Jnana Yoga and also the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. So these were the three queries that Mother Devahuti asked unto Lord Kapila. And in the chapter 25, Lord Kapila speaks about what kind of Bhakti Mother Devahuti is supposed to practice, and by practicing that Bhakti, what kind of results she will get. And in chapter 26 and 27, Lord Kapila talks about what kind of sadhana that is there in the Jnana Yoga and what kind of results one will get by practicing Jnana Yoga. And what kind of sadhana is there in the Ashtanga Yoga and what kind of results one would get by practicing Ashtanga Yoga will be discussed in chapter 28. So that is the connection with respect to the questions and the topic under discussion. So in the last couple of classes, we discussed about the Bhakti, that what kind of Bhakti Mother Devahuti is supposed to practice. So that Bhakti in which there is engagement of all the senses and employing all the sense objects in service of Supreme Lord, that Bhakti will easily bring one to the platform of Bhava and Prema, where one will be able to serve the Lord in spontaneity. So that was the theme. And then the attainment of Bhava can be possible by two ways, either by practicing Vedi Sadhana Bhakti or by practicing Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And the results one would get after coming into the Bhava platform or Prema platform are also of two types. One is after coming to Bhava platform by the practice of Vedi Sadhana Bhakti, one kind of results are there. And after coming to Bhava platform by the practice of Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, another kind of results will be there. So in the previous three verses, 34, 35, 36, 37, I think 3-4 verses, this chapter talks about what kind of results one would get or what kind of consciousness one is placed in when one comes to the Bhava platform by practicing through Vedi Sadhana Bhakti. So these are mentioned in the previous 3-4 verses, where basically having come to Bhava platform, they are not at all interested in entering into Brahman or enjoying Brahmananda, or they are not at all interested in enjoying anything in the material world, because they are getting unlimited happiness, unlimited pleasure, and unlimited opportunity to serve when they see the form of the Supreme Lord. Just by having the darshan of the Supreme Lord, all their sins are completely satisfied. They are experiencing unlimited happiness and unlimited bliss, and they are able to serve the Lord in person. Till now, while practicing Vedi Sadhana Bhakti, they are able to serve the deity form of the Lord only. But now they could serve the Lord in person in his own spiritual abode. Even though the Lord is ready to award them Kaivalya Mukti, even though the Lord is trying to award them all the opulences, whether in the material world or the spiritual world, the devotees are not at all interested in any of those things. They are only interested in two things. One is the opportunity to see the Lord continuously. The second thing is the opportunity to render service unto the Lord in person. Not in a remote way, not in a secondary way, but primarily in person they want to serve the Lord. These are the only two desires the devotee has when the devotee comes to the platform of Bhava and Prema. And Lord accordingly reciprocates them by taking them to spiritual world and making them that they will be able to see the form of the Lord continuously, and they will be able to serve the Lord continuously. And this kind of opportunity is in Aishwarya Dham. So here the Vedi Sadhana Bhakti is connected with serving the Lord in awe and reverence, and the result they get is also entering into Vaikunta, where they will continue to serve the Lord in the mood of Aishwarya, awe and reverence. So that is the result. So this is one kind of result when one practices that bhakti, following all the rules and regulations of the Vedic literatures. They serve the Lord with a lot of veneration, lot of respect, with awe and reverence, and they never want to enjoy the Brahmananda. They never want to enjoy any material facilities or any spiritual facilities in the spiritual world. Instead, they only want two things: that they are able to see the Lord continuously, and they are able to serve the Lord continuously with utmost respect. So these are the results of practicing Vedi Sadhana Bhakti, having come to the Bhava platform and Prema platform. So that is mentioned in the 4 verses, 34, 35, 36, 37. So here you see 37th verse. Aho vibhutim mama maya vinastam aishwarya mashtanga manu pravrittam shriyam bhagavatim va spruhayanti badram parasya mete shnuvate loke. The devotees certainly do not desire attainment of the happiness of the material universe piled up by Maya. So whatever happiness, whatever the material happiness or Bhautika Sukha, one may think of the happiness of Sarga and other places. If that is offered by the Lord, the devotees are not at all impressed. The power of Yoga Siddhis, the Ashta Siddhis, the 8 mystic Siddhis, Anima, Lagima, Mahima, Prapti, Vashita, it's like that. All the Siddhis are, if they are offered by the Lord, devotees are not interested in them. And then the auspicious rewards of residing in Vaikunta, like Salokya and Sarishti, with all the facilities of Vaikunta, with the residence in Vaikunta, even they do not want. If there is no opportunity to serve the Lord. In all these places, only the facilities are offered to devotee, not the service, not the opportunity to see the Lord continuously. So devotees never want all these opulences. The devotees only want, in spite of being told that, okay, I will offer you this, I will offer you this, they don't want any of these things. They only want to see the Lord continuously and serve the Lord continuously. So unable to convince them, the Lord finally takes them to his own abode, Vaikuntha. And there, Lord will give them the opportunity to see him continuously and to serve him continuously. So that is where we kind of stopped. So now today we'll continue from verse number 38 onwards. Na karhi chinmat parashanta rupe nangshanti no me nimisho le diheti yeshamaham priya atma sutascha sukha saka guror suhrudo daivamishtam. So here this verse talks about those devotees who by practicing Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, after practicing Vedi Sadhana Bhakti, when they come to the Bhava platform. So in that Bhava platform, what kind of desires they express and what kind of blessings the Lord will give. So what will be the consciousness of a devotee who after practicing Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, when they come to Bhava and Prema platform, that is explained. And eventually what kind of result the Lord will award them, that is also mentioned in this verse. So this is the result or the goal of practicing Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. The devotees in the spiritual world are never deprived of any enjoyment. So here the question might come. So when all of us, the practicing devotees, so we are trying to practice bhakti and trying to serve the Lord as much as possible. The people in general outside world, they will say that when we come to temple on Sunday morning and spend whole day here, as we hear during Brahmotsav festival, many of our senior devotees share their experiences. In the past, they used to leave their home early in the morning on Sundays. After taking a bath, early in the morning, some of them would leave home at 4:30 to attend Mangalarti 5 o'clock. Some of them would leave home maybe a little later so that they will attend at least for Chandraarati. They come here, attend the morning program, which would go till 11, something like that, 11, 12. They have breakfast. Then Sunday feast program would start, which will go all the way up to 5, 6. Then they would have lunch prasadam in the late evening. Then they would come home around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. When the neighbors would see them, they would ask, hey, where you will go? If somebody goes to temple, they'll go and break a coconut and just offer namaskar and come back. It may take half an hour, 1 hour, not more than that. Where do you people go early in the morning and go late night? What do you do in the temple throughout the day? So like that, outside people would ask. In the same way, if we extend a little bit, the outside people also might ask, you people do not feel that you are deprived of enjoyment? And we go on excursion, we go on sightseeing, we go on to various places for enjoyment. We go on to the clubs, we go on to excursion, trips, like all the tours, etc., etc. So do you people don't miss all these things? And you people don't come to our parties and don't eat anything there? You don't take part in the parties and all. You don't feel that you are missing something like that? And they say one simple thing, that you don't you understand that there is something called death, and before death comes, we have to enjoy as much as possible. If death comes, everything is stopped. Can't you understand that? Like that, our neighbors might have asked us. Many might have asked us in the past. So here Lord says that, don't worry, let them ask so many things like that. But my devotees, when they come to spiritual world, they are never deprived of any enjoyment. Lord says that, don't worry that when the devotee comes to spiritual world, don't think that it is like no activity zone, not like that. There every possible enjoyment is there for my devotees. And my wheel of time does not afflict those devotees. Here in the material world, though they may try to enjoy different ways, but everyone is afraid of passing of time. Every passing of year, people are afraid, I am losing one more year in my life, something like that. So opportunity to enjoy is reducing with every passage of one more year. But Lord says that time does not show any influence upon my devotees. And here in this material world, so the different avenues of enjoyment is due to our relationship with our near and dear. So we have mother, we have father, and all the grosas have their spouse. The wife will have husband, husband will have a wife, and eventually they will have children, the son, daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law. They will have brother, sister, they will have brother-in-law, sister-in-law, auntie, uncle, like that. So many relatives, grandparents, grandchildren, and friends, neighbor, like that. So many relationships are there in the society to us. And in their association, we have our happiness, we have our enjoyment, we have the expression of ourselves in the midst of them. So for people in general, the happiness is in the company of their near and dear ones. And when the devotees come to temple, they say that you people don't associate with us. What kind of enjoyment do you have in life, etc., etc., etc. So for the devotees, the highest form of enjoyment is not restricted to their family members. Instead, their enjoyment becomes enhanced multifold when they make Krishna their family member. When they want to be with Krishna like one of the family members, when they treat Krishna like one of their family member, when they serve Krishna as one of their family member. So this is the kind of desire they will cultivate during their sadhana, and that becomes strong when they come to Bhava and Prema platform, and eventually Lord will offer them that kind of opportunity in the spiritual world, where Krishna becomes their lover for some. Krishna becomes their life and soul for them, for Dasya Bhaktas, and Krishna becomes their son for the Vatsalya Bhaktas. Krishna becomes their friend for the Sakya Bhaktas. Krishna becomes their elder and well-wisher for the Dasya Bhaktas or Shanta Bhaktas. And Krishna becomes their companion for their Sakya Bhaktas and Dasya Bhaktas. And Krishna becomes their worshipable deity for the Dasya Bhaktas and the Shanta Bhaktas. So devotees in these 5 rasas, they will have Krishna as their intimate associate, and they will be able to serve the Lord in one of these 5 rasas. So whatever relationships that we have in the material world in relation to our near and dear are only within these 5 rasas, mainly Shanta, neutrality, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So a devotee is never bereft of all these things. Devotee might have all these relationships with different family members here in this world, but devotee want to have that relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is the highest perfection. And when they practice sadhana in that direction, the Lord fulfills the desire for all those devotees. So Lord gives that promise here. Those who practice Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti with an intention to become one of my close associate and want to serve me in intimacy, not in reverence, not in non-reverence, I'll be very much pleased to provide that kind of facility to that kind of devotee. The achievement of the spiritual world by the devotee is not like the achievement of going to Swarga. Even when living entities, by performing pious activities, giving charities, and doing all auspicious activities, they might be promoted to heaven. When they go to heaven, they will also get such kind of heavenly facilities in the midst of heavenly opulences. But as soon as their piety is over, they will fall down. But when a devotee goes to spiritual world, the devotee is placed in the midst of many facilities, but primarily with the opportunities to see the Lord and serve the Lord in one of the intimate rasas, but they are never sent back. Like the living entities were sent back from the heaven. Abrahma Bhunaloka Punaravarti Nordjuna. Even a Jiva goes all the way up to Brahmaloka, they are pushed downward when their piety is over. But Mamupete to Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. But those who come to my spiritual abode, they will never take birth again. So that is the distinction between going to Swarga and going to Vaikunta. The devotee's achievement is permanent as they have established the relationship with the all permanent Lord. Since the Lord is all permanent, is Sanatana, when the Jiva goes to spiritual world, they will also have the same qualities as that of Lord. They will also ask Sanatana, the Supreme Lord, and they will continue to serve the Lord in one of the 5 prominent rasas. So it is like that. So like the same thing, like in a question answer format. But since the devotee attains a planet, there will be destruction of the enjoyer and the enjoyed as on Swarga. When one goes to Swarga, there is something called the concept of enjoyer and the enjoyed. There is a person and others are serving him. The person is enjoyer and the others are enjoyed by serving him. So does that kind of concept is also, but in Swarga, this does not last long. When the piety is over, the person is thrown down, pushed downward, and they will come to again Bharatavarsha, Buloka. That is the same thing happens in the spiritual world, like that a question might come. So Lord says that my devotee is dwelling on my abode, which is without transformation or never without enjoyment. My wheel of time does not affect them. That means there is no counting of time in the spiritual world. In the material world, we count, okay, 1 day passed, 2 days passed, 3 days passed. Today already we are 3rd or 4th, of the new year. Already 2-3 days already completed in the new year. But in the spiritual world, it's not that kind of counting is there. It's all eternal. That's why it is called as Nitya Leela. So the Leela is going on for eternal in the spiritual world. So Aramba Bonal Loka, Abrama Bonal Loka, Punaravarti Norjuna, Namapeti Konteya Punarjanma, Na Vidyati. That we just discussed. So Vishnu Sahasranama says that Vaikunta is the most exalted place, which is devoid of fear of returning back to this material world. Within the material world, even if one goes to Brahma Loka, the abode of Lord Brahma Satyaloka, there is a fear of coming back after the piety is over. But this fear is not there in the spiritual world. Some devotees, having gone to spiritual world, some devotees will act as lovers for the Supreme Lord. And some other devotees will act as Shanta Bhaktas who are in the Dasya Rasa, who cultivate Dasya Rasa. And some devotees see the Lord as Atma, who cultivate Shanta Rasa. They see the Supreme Lord as their life and soul, etc. And other devotees act as the parents, seeing the Lord as their son. These are the devotees who cultivate Vasalya Rasa. Having gone to spiritual world, they become the parents of Lord Krishna. And others see the Lord as a friend, Sakya Rasa, Suhruda, with a Sakya Bhav. They see Lord Krishna as their friend and well-wisher, and they serve the Lord accordingly. And others in a particular Dasya relationship see him as their superior Guru, seeing the Lord as the worshipable deity in Dasya Bhav. So they see Lord as their Guru and elder and well-wisher, and then serve the Lord in Dasya Bhav. So these are the different ways and means the devotees, by practicing Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, they come to the Bhava and Prema platform. There they develop the desire to serve the Lord in an intimate way, like Lord's lover, or like Lord's parent, or like Lord's friend, or like Lord's servant, or serving the Lord in neutrality, in Shantaras, accepting Lord as their Atma, their life and soul. So all these things are possible for a devotee when they come to the platform of Bhava by practicing Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So this is another result. So we always hear about Goloka Vrindavan. So such case, this verse is actually specifically referring to the devotees going to Goloka Vrindavan, where they become the associates of Lord Krishna in one of the 5 rasas and will be able to serve the Lord in that particular rasa. So here is one verse from 2nd canto, 9th chapter, verse number 10. So this is about the vision of Vaikunta. Lord Brahma performed severe austerities. Then he had the darshan of Vaikunta. So in Vaikunta, how the Lord is being served by various Vaikunta Vasis. So, and also how Vaikunta is beyond the influence of Kala and Karma, Kala and Prakriti, etc. Three modes of material nature that is being indicated here. Pravartate yatra rajastamastayo sattvam cha mishram na cha kala vikrama na yatra maya kimuta pare hare anuvrata yatra sura surarchita. The Vaikunta or the spiritual world is sura surarchita. It is being worshipped by the suras and asuras. In Vaikunta there is no rajas or there is no tamas. Na pravartate rajas and tamas. Rajoguna and tamoguna does not have any place in spiritual world. And no saptaguna mixed with rajas and tamas. There is no contaminated sattva-guna with rajas or tamas. Only pure sattva-guna, Shuddha sattva only exists in the spiritual world or in the Vaikunta. And that means there is no influence of rajoguna and no influence of tamoguna in the spiritual world. Then there is no influence of time, nacha kala vikrama. There is no counting of days and nights, weeks, months, years in the spiritual world. It is Nitya Lila. The one particular Lila goes on eternally in the spiritual world. And there is no influence of Maya at all. What to speak of its products, such as material elements. So the influence, by the influence of time, we go through the 6 transformations in our body. We take birth, we grow, give byproducts, stay for some time, dwindle, and die, vanish. These are the 6 transformations which take place in relation to the body, which are due to the effect of time. Being influenced by time, we go through the 6 transformations. And being influenced by Maya, the influence of Maya is after death, the Jiva is taken to the womb of another mother. There, Maya or Prakriti develops another body for the Jiva. And the Jiva go through either 6 transformations in that particular body. After that body dies and goes into another body, Prakriti provides another body for Jiva. So like that, there is continuous movement from one species to other species to third species, like that. That is the influence of Maya. And while living in one particular body, in one particular species, the Jiva go through the 6 transformations, taking birth. After growth in the womb, they take birth, they grow little older, get married, beget children, and then stay for some time, take care of the family, then become old, and one day die. These are all the effects of time. And such kind of things do not happen in the spiritual world. There is no influence of time. That means they don't go through the 6 transformations. If a person is youthful, they will remain youthful for the rest of eternity. If the persons are old and acting like the parents of the Lord, they will remain old and remain parents of the Lord eternity. They don't become grandparents or something like that. So, and they don't change their bodies. They don't go through the cycle of transmigration, something like that, being forced by karma or something like that. That kind of thing does not possible in the spiritual world. And in Vaikunta, the inhabitants are fully dedicated to serving the Lord and are worshipable by the devatas and asuras and the devotees. Yatra harer anuvrata. The devotees are only interested in serving the Lord continuously. And they are worshipped by the devatas and asuras and the devotees here, because they also aspire to go there and become like them. So these are the qualities of the spiritual world. So this verse in a way talked about what will be the consciousness of the devotees who had come to the Bhava and Prema platform by practicing Raga Nuga Sadhana Bhakti, and what will they attain. Lord, they want to serve the Lord in one of those particular rasas, and Lord takes them to spiritual world and makes them that respective devotee, and they will serve the Lord accordingly. So there is one verse comes in the 3rd canto, chapter 9, one among the Brahma's prayers. It says that यद् यद् दीयत उरुगाय विभवयन्ति तत्तत् वपु प्रणयसे तदनुग्रहाय. With whatever mentality, with whatever aspirations a devotee practices their bhakti while in this material world, Lord will take them to the spiritual world and awards that kind of facilities to those devotees, so that they will be able to experience that, they will be able to serve the Lord in that particular way. For example, some devotees want to serve Lord Narsingha. So Lord Narsingha will take those devotees to that Vaikuntha where Lord Narsingha Dev is there, and they will be able to see Lord Narsingha and serve him accordingly. If some devotees want to serve Lord Ram will take them to that particular Vaikuntha where Lord Ram is residing, and they will be able to see and serve Lord Ram in person like the Ayodhya-vasis, etc. So other understanding is that if the devotees want to serve the Lord like becoming Lord's consorts, becoming Lord's parents, becoming Lord's friends, becoming Lord's close servants, so Lord takes them to that particular abode and gives them tat vapu, that particular body. Those who want to serve the Lord as consort, they should have the female body in age which is supposed to be younger to that of the Lord. So they will be given that kind of body like young gopis. And those who want to serve the Lord as parents, so they will be given the elderly gopas or elderly gopis, the motherly or fatherly personalities. So they will be given that kind of bodily arrangement, bodily structure. So they will serve Lord Krishna in that parental affection. And those who want to serve the Lord in Sakyaras, so Lord gives them the forms of the boys whose age is equal to that of Lord Krishna, the same age, so that they will be able to serve Lord Krishna with the equal age. And those who want to serve the Lord in Dasaras, so they will be given that particular bodily structure, maybe of with lesser age of that of Krishna, or with lesser facilities, little far from the closeness of Krishna. So they will serve the Lord in Dasaras. And those who want to serve the Lord in Shantaras, they are also given the different bodily forms in Shantaras, though they will serve the Lord in that Shantaras. So like that. So the Lord is eager to fulfill the desire of the devotee. So it is up to the devotee to cultivate that particular aspiration, so that they would like to go to spiritual world and serve the Lord in that particular rasa. So Lord Krishna time and again in Bhagavad Gita, he tells that so devotees are supposed to cultivate this particular rasa while practicing their sadhana. So one simple just clarification, which chapter is going on in your Bhakti Shastri, Hare Krishna? Those who are doing Bhakti Shastri course, which chapter is going on currently?
Sixth chapter. Means he will start sixth chapter.
Okay, still sixth chapter only. But anyway, His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu already kind of presented Bhagavad Gita to all of our devotees. If
not
at all,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it is Bhagavad Gita is over.
Bhagavad Gita is over, na?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought NOD yet.
No, not NOD, Bhagavad Gita only. So, can someone remember a shloka wherein the word yukta is used in the Bhagavad Gita? Yukta.
Yuktahara viharasya.
No, not that Yuktahara viharasya. Maybe little higher, 7th chapter, 9th chapter, 10th chapter, in those chapters, yukta word is used.
Satata yukta ye bhaktayam paryupasate.
Yeah, that is 12th chapter, first verse. Some other verse from other chapters. 9th chapter, there are many verses come. 10th chapter also many verses come. Yukta word. Tesham satta yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhiyogantam enamam upayantite. That is one verse where yukta word comes. And
Same yuktamo mataha.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Samayuktamatama mataha, that is also one more verse.
Yeah.
Yogakshemam vahamiham, that verse also has the word yukta.
Yeah.
How it starts?
Satatam kirtayanto ma. yatantasya drudavrata. In that nitya yukta upasate.
Nitya yukta upasate. Nitya yukta upasate. That Prabhuji just mentioned. And how this verse starts? Yogakshemam vahamyaham.
Adanyas chintayanto maye jana paripasate.
Tesham
nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam.
Tesham nitya abhiyuktanam. Tesham satayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. Like that, at many places, Lord Krishna, by just using the word yukta, Lord Krishna is actually suggesting to all the devotees that, so my dear devotees, all of you need to cultivate this one desire. So can anyone tell that what is the meaning of yukta as per Bhagavad Gita? Anyone? What do you understand that in all these verses what Lord Krishna is suggesting us? Yukta means
continuous
Fixed.
remembrance.
Fixed, Prabhuji, fixed.
Fixed, continuous remembrance. And other devotees, what? Just think about it and just tell.
Engaged in Lord service.
Engaged in Lord service. Others? Have you heard the word yukti? Yukti.
Yes.
Yes.
In our vernacular language, yukti means?
Plan.
Chaturya.
Yeah, chaturya, making a plan, planning properly. So, yukta is like synonymous to yoga. Yoga means to join, to reunite with the object of worship, something like that. So here indirectly Lord Krishna is indicating that evam satayuktaye bhaktastvam paryupasate. The devotees paryupasate completely dedicate themselves in my devotional service with one desire. What is the desire? They want to come to my spiritual world and they want to serve me in person. Here they are serving my deity, but they want to serve me in person, for which they want to come to my spiritual world. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Here the devotees are performing bhajana with priti purvakam, with complete love and affection and attachment. For what purpose? Tesham satata yuktanam, so that they will go to spiritual world and serve me in my person form. So that is what Lord Krishna indicates in those verses. So all these verses, wherever the word yukta comes, so ananyas chintayanto mam ejana pari upasate. Upasate means worshipping. Pari upasate means completely worshipping, nothing else doing, only worshipping. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. These devotees are completely dedicated to my worship here. For what purpose? So that they will come to my spiritual abode, and they are actually showing here that, my dear Lord, we are not at all interested in doing anything else other than your worship. So we want to do this only. So when the devotee becomes ready 100% to serve the Lord and nothing else, the Lord will take the devotees to spiritual world and makes them his associates in the spiritual world. Ananyas chintayanto mam means there is no other chinta in the heart of the devotee except serving the Supreme Lord 24/7. Tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. For what purpose? Nitya abhiyuktanam. They want to become one of my eternal associates and want to serve me for the rest of eternity. And for such kind of devotees, I will take care of them in all respects. Yoga kshema ahamyam. I will take care that they will come to my spiritual abode, and I will take care that they will be able to serve me for the rest of eternity. That is what Lord promises. Yoga kshema vahamyam. So it is like that. The same thing we can see in the summary verse of Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishyasi tatyam te mam eva ishasi. When a devotee performs manmana, madbhakti, madhyaji, mam namaskuru, we discuss this verse elaborately, that engaging everything that we have in our possession service of Supreme Lord. And Lord says that mam eva ishyasi satyam te. I'll make a vow pratigna that these devotees will come to me in my spiritual world and they will become my eternal associates and they will be able to serve me eternally in that particular rasa. So pratijane priyosime. So this is my vow onto such kind of devotees. So this is what Lord Krishna hints from Bhagavad Gita. And same thing we see here in Bhagavatam. When a devotee practices that kind of bhakti, this kind of result will come. When they go to spiritual world, they will become Lord's consort, they will become Lord's parents, they will become Lord's friends, they will become Lord's servants, and they will become neutral bhaktas in Shantaras. So the loop is completely closed. Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam combined together. So it is like that. So we have seen that results, that is coming to Bhava platform by practicing Vedic Sadhana Bhakti and coming to Bhava platform by practicing Raganu Sadhana Bhakti. So now these next two verses talks about the various activities a devotee is supposed to practice in Vedic Sadhana Bhakti. So the non-spontaneous Vedic Sadhana Bhakti is mentioned in these two verses. In one of the two verses, one of the classes in the past, our Ganesh Prabhu was asking that how to come through that platform, how to come to Bhava platform, etc. So these two verses answer that what kind of practices we are supposed to do right now, so that we'll come to that platform eventually when we raise our consciousness to Bhava and Prema. So these two verses talks about the activities that we are supposed to follow, or the consciousness that we are supposed to cultivate while executing our devotional activities. So that is mentioned in these two verses. Verse number 39 and 40. Imam lokam tataivamum atmanam ubayayinam atmanam anuyecheya eraya pashavo gruha visrujya sarvan anyamscha mam evam vishwato mukam bhajanti ananyaya bhaktya tan mrityor atiparaye. So here Lord says, giving up attachment to bodily identification, visrujya atmanam ubayayinam, giving up attachment with respect to the gross body and the subtle body. So from the gross body we have identification that I am born in so and so family, so and so the great respectable aristocratic family, I belong to so and so community, I belong to so and so village or so and so state and so country. This is from the gross body perspective. And subtle body perspective, it is that I am intelligent, I am outspoken, I am charitable, and I am this, I am that, and the identity with respect to our occupation there also belongs to subtle body, something like that. So one is always identifies oneself with this gross body identification or subtle body identification. But a devotee supposed to give up the attachment to the bodily identification with respects to gross body and subtle body, because these identities produces the enjoyment tendencies in this life and in the next life. So whatever way we may introduce ourselves with respect to the gross body or subtle body, indirectly or inherently they have the tendency to enjoy. So when we say that I belong to so and so community, I was born in so and so great respected family, so we are expecting the respect from others. So by receiving the respect, we experience pleasure, happiness, etc., etc. And when we are glorified by others that this person is intelligent, talented, wise, or this person is charitable, this person is kind-hearted, and this person is the CEO of so and so company, this person is a big director, and like that. Such kind of glorification also gives satisfaction to the mind and heart. The person becomes attached to get that glorification, to get that satisfaction when they are coming with respect to the gross body and subtle body. But a devotee is supposed to give up attachment to that bodily kind of attachments, bodily identification, and also the results associated with that bodily identification. And then it goes to the extent that one should give up, which produces the enjoyments in this life and the next life. Imam lokam tata eva amum lokam. So when we are residing in a particular body, we want to be glorified as religious persons. So by that glorification, we experience happiness here. And by performing the religious activities, we experience happiness. And we also perform all the religious activities so that we will go to Swarga and experience more and more happiness. The people in general who are the followers of the Vedic rituals, they follow so many rituals in their daily life, in their homes. The reason is they say that, okay, if you do good, if you do all these Vedic rituals, we will get good life in the next life, good prosperity. We will take birth in the family of the aristocratic family or the rich family, or we will be ascended to Pitraloka or Swargaloka and we get to enjoy more and more. Such kind of thought process is there. If we give charities, the Vedic literature promise that we will go to heaven. If you construct temples, if you construct water ponds, if you construct buildings, if you construct the Urdhashramas and Anadashramas, so one will be promoted to Swarga and will be able to enjoy more and more. So with that reason, one performs all these charitable activities and is glorified here while living in this body. And after this life, in the next life, one will be promoted to heaven and want to enjoy there. But a devotee should not be interested in glorification and enjoyment in this life, or the enjoyment in the next life having gone to Swarga. That should be the mentality of a devotee. And giving up as well related persons, Visrujya Sarvam Anyamscha, and giving up as well the related persons such as wife and sons, and items such as wealth, animals, and house. So don't take it negatively. The understanding is, generally people in general, when we live with our parents, when we live with our spouse and children, there is natural bonding, natural attachment, everything is there. But that attachment should not go to the extent that the devotee only want to stay with them and does not want to go back to spiritual world, not to that extent. So one can be in the association of all the family members, serve them in their association, serve the Lord also. But ultimately, a devotee should aspire to go back home, back to Godhead and serve the Lord in personal form, in person, in one of the rasas, whether with awe and reverence or with intimacy, in whichever way. But the devotee should cultivate that mood to serve the Lord in person. So just the way we are taking care of our family members here, and similarly one should cultivate the desire to serve the Lord in the same way completely. And as long as we are living in this material world, we have 8 associates. Atma, Jaya, Suta, Agara, Pashu, Dravina, Bandhushu. Atma refers to our gross body and subtle body. Jaya refers to the wife. Suta refers to children, sons and daughters. And Suta Agara refers to house. Atma, Jaya, Suta, Agara, Pashu. In the past, Pashu refers to animals because people used to have a lot of animals. The cows, buffaloes, bulls, horses, elephants, all these things. Some of the animals are for cultivating land, producing grains, and other animals for travel, etc., etc. So nowadays, animals means vehicles. Everyone who are living in the city, they will have a 2-wheeler or 4-wheeler compulsory, without which their life cannot move ahead. So Pashu refers to the vehicles. And Dravina, some bank balance. They go to work and earn money. They need to save some wealth for future requirements. Bandhushu, they need friends and relatives to share their joys and happiness, to conduct festivals, celebrate festivals, etc., etc. And Rajya, So in the past, this verse is being spoken in relation to king. For a king, Raja should be there. But for others, occupation, our duties, our job, that is Raja for us in general. So like that, a person is in the association of these 8 things. Atma, Jaya, Sutta, Agara, Pashu, Dravina, Bandhushu, Raja. So all these 8 are there. But here Lord says that a devotee is supposed to give up attachment to one's gross body, subtle body, one's wife, one's children, one's home, one's friends and relatives, one's bank balance, or all the opulences such as land, other properties, etc., etc., and also all vehicles one has, and also one's occupation. So all these things are indicated here. So give up all the related persons such as wife, children, wealth, animals, house, etc. And then what the devotee is supposed to do without having attachment to all these things? The devotees with exclusive bhakti, they worship me. Ananya bhaktya, with ananya bhakti. Anya means others. Ananya means without serving others or without giving prime importance to others. Instead, bhajanti mam, they exclusively engage in devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who stand before them wherever they are. It is not that the devotees only can serve the Lord only in Pandharpur, or only in Kolhapur, or only in Rishikesh, only in Haridwar, only in Srirangam or Tirupati, not like that. Wherever they may be, they can serve the Lord, because Lord is Vishwato Mukham, Lord is everywhere. Andantarastha Paramanucha Antarastham. So we can serve the Lord within our home, in our home deity. That is not that all the devotees need to come to Radha Gopinath temple only so that they will be able to serve the Lord. Not like that. Even at our home also, we can serve the same Lord. Lord can manifest himself everywhere. Wherever the devotees are there, Lord will manifest himself there in order to accept their service in the deity form, or in the photo frame form, in the drawing form, like that, in a book form, like that. And when the devotees, when the people in general in this material world have attachment to these 8 things, but the devotees, instead of becoming attached to these 8 things, they are simply engaged in the service of Supreme Lord, Sadhaka Bhakta. So for those devotees, Lord says that I take them beyond the ocean of birth and death. Tan mrutyur ati paraye. Because devotees are not at all interested in anything material world, anything in this material world. So they are done with this material world. So I will take them beyond birth and beyond the cycle of birth and death, and I will bring them to my spiritual world. So when a devotee engages in devotional service with this consciousness, that is mentioned in this verse, this is the result the Lord will give to the devotees. Mrityu ati parayet. Lord will deliver them from the cycle of samsara, the cycle of birth and death, and take them to spiritual world. Where here they are serving the deity 24/7, in the spiritual world they will be able to serve the Lord 25/7 in person. So this is Vedi Sadhana Bhakti, and that is the result which Lord awards to that devotee. So the summary of Vedi Sadhana Bhakti is that for those who are not qualified for Bhava, Sadhana Bhakti is recommended. They give up bodily attachments for this world and the next world and worship me. I reciprocate with such devotees by taking them beyond the samsara of birth and death. They give up attachment to being the enjoyer. So they don't associate with the concept of I am the doer and hence I am the enjoyer. They give up that concept of I am the doer and I am the enjoyer, because that concept of I am the doer and I am the enjoyer leads to attachment to the visible enjoyment in this world. They want to get enjoyment in this world, and attachment which is invisible, attachment to the invisible enjoyment in the next world, in the next life. So we hear from Vedic literature that if you go to Swarga, you will enjoy like this. If you go to Pitraloka, you will enjoy like this. It is only heard, but not seen personally. But they make all the necessary arrangement. They practice all the vows and charities so that they will go to that next world, into the heaven, and they enjoy such kind of things. But the devotee is supposed to give up attachments to the concept of doer and enjoyer. So just as One who is attached to material enjoyment praises material enjoyment. Similarly, one who is rejected the material enjoyment criticizes the material enjoyment. So, but devotee is not like that. The karmis who are interested in material enjoyment, they praise material enjoyment. The jnanis who say Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, who criticize who deny material enjoyment, they actually criticize material enjoyment. They say this Jagat is Mithya, the material enjoyment in this material world is also Mithya. Like that they criticize. But the devotees are not like that. Devotees are in between. The devotees utilize all the material facilities in the service of the Supreme Lord, so that the Lord will enjoy them first, and then the devotees will accept as Lord's Mahaprasad. But sometimes the devotees may go out of this concept. They may act like the enjoyers, but immediately they repent and correct their tendency. That is mentioned in the Uddhav Gita by Lord Krishna. Jushamanasya tan kaman dukkho darkamsha gareyan. Even though the devotee sometimes engage in sense enjoyment, but my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Though sometimes knowingly or unknowingly devotees might engage in some sense gratificatory activities, but they understand that each and every sense gratificatory activity ultimately leads to misery only in this material world. They may do sometimes, but eventually they repent for it and they regulate themselves so that they will not do again such kind of activities. So there is one verse in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, I think verse number 18, that actually echoes with the same mentality. The intelligent people will understand that Ei samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yone evate. The enjoyment through the senses, the enjoyment of the five sense objects through the five senses ultimately leads to misery only. The sense gratification acts like the yoni, which gives birth to misery. Dukkha yone evate. Adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. This enjoyment has a beginning and also has an end. It is not everlasting. Na rateshu na buddha. So the intelligent people who understand the nature of this material world does not take pleasure in this sense gratification. So like that. So the devotees sometimes, because of some uncontrollable urge, etc., they may do some sense gratification, but they understand that sense gratification ultimately leads to misery only. So they go through that misery, they repent for it, and they correct themselves. They continue to practice bhakti. That is the nature of bhakti. So basically, the karmis fantasize this material world as an object of enjoyment. The jnanis criticize this material world as an object of illusion, as an illusory object. But the devotees utilize this material world in the service of the Supreme Lord. So that is their position in comparison to jnanis and yogis. So the devotees also reject other things related to that. The sons, related to that means related to the body. So the wife, sons, and other things and material objects such as wealth, all these things are rejected by the devotees. I, the Lord, standing in front of those devotees, where I stand in front of them wherever they go. So wherever the devotees, if they have not completed in this life, they may take birth in the next life, but Lord comes and stands in front of them to inspire them and to accept their devotional service. So they have bhakti, which is devoid of karma, jnana, and devata worship. And such kind of devotees are not interested in practicing karma, not interested in practicing jnana, and not interested in worshipping devatas on par with the Supreme Lord. I make such kind of devotees cross behind the ocean of samsara, even though they do not want to cross samsara, since they desire only bhakti. I do not inform them of this. Even though I don't tell them about this, that I'll take them to spiritual world, but I'll take them to spiritual world anyway. So because the devotee showed such kind of surrender, in a reciprocation, I'll take them to spiritual world. So like that, Lord mentions here. So it has already been stated in verse number 13 that bhakti destroys the subtle body. Jarayati ashuya kosham nigirnam analoyata. So this bhakti destroys their gross body and subtle body and takes them to spiritual world. So that is the nature of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So how to practice Vaidhi sadhana bhakti and what kind of result will come from that Vaidhi sadhana bhakti? So that is being stated. And in the previous verse, that verse number 38, we saw the result of Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And there is one verse in Nectar of Instructions or Upadeshamrita, text number 8, which is the sadhana of Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So what kind of sadhana one need to practice if one want to cultivate Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti? So that is mentioned in the verse number 8. So in Nectar of Instruction, verse number 1 to 7 talks about Vedi Sadhana Bhakti. So where the progression starts with Shraddha, goes all the way up to Ruchi. Shraddha, Adosh Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivrutti, Nishta, Ruchi. So these are all part of Vedi Sadhana Bhakti. And at the level of Asakti, it is called as Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. In the Asakti platform, these symptoms will manifest in the heart of a devotee. That they want to serve the Lord as a parent, they want to serve the Lord as a lover, they want to serve the Lord as a friend, they want to serve the Lord as a servant. These symptoms generally manifest at the level of Asakti. See, prior to that, one artificially imitates one of these symptoms, that is called Sahajiyaism. Without the proper purification of the heart, without going through Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivrutti, Nishta, Ruchi platforms, if one artificially tries to serve the deity, like Vasalya in Vasalya Bhava or Madhurya in Dasya Bhava or Madhurya Bhava, that is actually Sahajiyaism. At the stage of Asakti, actually the symptoms manifest automatically, and then the devotees cultivate more and more in that particular line, in that particular way. So it's like that. So here in this text number 8, Srila Rupa Goswami gives the essence of all advice. So to fix one's mind on Lord Krishna without deviation by constantly hearing and chanting about him and remembering his pastimes. So at the level of Asakti, one is completely attracted to serve Krishna, hear about Krishna, contemplate about Krishna, is completely full of Asakti. So that is being stated. So how they will do? Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrutyo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya Tishtan Vraje Tadanuragi Jananu Gami Kalam Nayed Akilam Iti Upadesha Saram. So what Rupa Goswami is trying to say that when a devotee comes to Asakti platform, what that devotee does? Tannama Rupa Charita Adi Sukirtananu. Devotee in Asakti platform continuously does kirtan of Lord's Nama, Rupa, Charita, Adi, etc. about Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So the devotee's one and only activity is to continuously chant or describe about Lord's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. And Smrutyo Kramena. And when he is not speaking, he continues to do smaran of all these pastimes. Smrutyo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya. The mind completely focuses on Lord's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. There will be no other thought in the mind of such a devotee. Initially, devotee engages his senses like chanting and describing and speaking and hearing, and eventually devotee engages his mind and intelligence in contemplation of those pastimes. Kramena Niyojya. Step by step, engages the mind and intelligence little bit more, like completely. So, where a devotee can perform this particular activity of engaging one's mind and intelligence completely on the past Nama Rupa Guna of the Supreme Lord, Tishtan Raje, situate oneself in the land of Raja. And then having gone to Raja, what one is supposed to do? Tad Anuragi Jananu Gami. One should take shelter of such kind of a devotee who is always talking about serving Lord Krishna and who is always meditating about Lord's pastimes, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Take shelter of such kind of a guru and serve him by staying in Vrindavan. And Kalam Nayed, in due course of time, Akilam, in due course of time, the devotee will achieve that kind of state where the devotee will be able to serve the Lord in person. So basically, having come to the platform of Asakti, a devotee will develop the symptoms that the devotee want to serve the Lord in Madhurya Ras or Vasalya Ras or Dasya Ras or Sakya Ras. So with that understanding, the devotee should go to Vrinda Vraja. Tishtam Vraja means situate himself in Vraja, not necessarily going physically to Vraja, but wherever one is in the atmosphere of Vraja, take shelter of a guru who is teaching such kind of pastimes, so that one's sadhana can be progressed. The guru is also teaching the devotees to cultivate the symptoms of Madhurya Bhav or the symptoms of Vatsarya Bhav, Dasya Bhav, Sakya Bhav, something like that. And eventually the devotees will go to spiritual world and will be able to serve the Lord in that particular rasa. So Akilam iti Upadesharam. This is the essence of all the Vedic literatures. Basically, one need to practice Vedi sadhana bhakti starting with Ado Shraddha all the way up to Ruchi. Then having entered into Asakti, one should take shelter of that guru who teaches that kind of bhakti, where one will get to, if one want to become the parent of Krishna, they need to hear the pastimes of Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj and all the Vraja elderly Gopas and Gopis, so that they will become one among them. If one want to serve Lord Krishna as Sakya Bhav, they need to hear the pastimes of Subal, Sridhama, Sridham Saka, like that, all these friends of Krishna, so that eventually they will go to Vraja and become one of Krishna's associates and serve him like that. So in that way. So this is the stage which takes one from Vedi to Raganuga Bhakti, regulated Bhakti to spontaneous devotion. And this verse describes the method of process of bhajan, as well as the topmost or the best place performing that bhajan. How to practice that Raganuga bhajan and where to practice that Raganuga bhajan are indicated in this particular verse. And how to practice the Raganuga bhajan? Go to Vraja and take shelter of a guru who teaches that kind of bhakti and practice that bhakti 24/7. So that is Raganuga sadhana bhakti. By following the rules and regulations prescribed in the previous verses 1 to 7, a sadhaka should draw one's mind away from everything unrelated to Sri Krishna and engage one's tongue in performing kirtan of Lord Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Then eventually one's mind will be able to enter into constant remembrance of Lord Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. While residing in Vraja, one should utilize all one's time executing these activities under the guidance of a devotee, under the guidance of devotees who are adept at relishing Vrajaras. Tad Anuga Anuragi Jana. Those devotees who are cultivating that rasa, who are actually relishing that rasa, they can teach others to cultivate that rasa, something like that. This is the essence of all instructions, Upadesha Saram. Chaitanya Charitamrita advises on the essence of all instructions in the matter of devotional service. For a neophyte devotee, Chaitanya Charitamrita says that give up all kind of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the direction of scriptures. So for a neophyte, it says that just follow the rules and regulations of the Vedic literatures and you will progress from Ado Shraddha to Ruchi. Thus, a neophyte gradually develops attachment, asakti for the Lord's, Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, activities, and so forth. Eventually, that devotee will come to asakti platform. Then, having come to asakti platform, what they are supposed to do? When one has developed attachment for Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, and so forth, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, even without following the regulative principles. After coming to asakti platform, one no need to have push from Vedic literatures. Currently, all of us need to hear daily Bhagavat Katha, Srimad Bhagavatam class, so that we are encouraged, we are inspired to practice our daily quota of bhakti. But when one comes to the asakti platform, they are naturally attracted to serve the Lord. So they don't need any push from the Vedic literature. This stage is called as Raga Bhakti or Bhakti in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. That stage, the devotees can select one of the Vrajavasis as their aspiration. So the devotees can select Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj, so that they want to serve Lord Krishna like that. So they become one of the Vraja elderly people, Vraja lady or Vraja men, and they will get to serve Lord Krishna during Brahma Vimohan Lila, something like that. So this kind of bhakti is called as Raganuga Bhakti. This comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, 22nd chapter, verse number 149. Ragatmika bhakti mukhya vrajavasi jane tara anugata bhaktira raganuga nama. So basically it says that the Vrajavasi Jana, the Vrajavasis are called as Ragatmika Bhaktas. Their Atma, their life and soul is spontaneous attraction towards Lord Krishna. All the Vrajavasis are called as Ragatmika Bhaktas. And those devotees who want to become like Vrajavasis, who want to serve like the Vrajavasi residents, and they are called as Raganuga Bhaktas. So in order to become like Vrajavasis, they need to hear about Vrajavasis more and more, and they need to cultivate their sadhana in the direction, so that eventually one day they become one of the residents of Vraja and will be able to serve Lord Krishna in that rasa like the other Vrajavasis. So that is called Raganuga Bhakti. There is no greater place than Vrajamandala to perform bhajana of Sri Radha Krishna. Therefore, even such exalted devotees as Brahma and Uddhava pray to take birth there as a blade of grass or as a shrub. Even Lord Brahma and Uddhava also decide that they need to get a place in Vrajamandal so that they will be able to get the dust from the feet of gopis and they will be able to serve Lord Krishna in that way. So Brahma says in his prayers in 10th canto after Brahma Vimana Lila, Tadburi Bhagyam iha janma kim api atavyam yad gokule api katamangri rajo abhishekam. He says that let me become a katama. Let me become a small thorny bush in Vraja, a small plant, a creeper in Vraja, so that I will be bathed by the dust from the lotus feet of all the Vrajavasis, especially Vraja gopis. So when the Vrajavasis walk here and there, let me get their dust, let me be bathed by their dust. So he says that let me become a blade of grass. Katama refers to blade of grass. This is the desire of Lord Brahma. Then Uddhava says, Asam maho charana renu jusham hamsyam vrundavane kimapi gulma lataushadinam. He says that let me become a gulma lata, a shrub, a small aushadi, a small plant, so that when the gopis and Vrajavasis will travel here and there, by touching their feet, I will be bathed, I will be touched by their dust, and I will become fortunate. So even Brahma and Uddhava are desiring like this. So that kind of great fortune, becoming one of the Vrajavasi. So in Vraja, having gone to Vraja, a devotee can serve the Lord in one of these 5 rasas. So this is the final essence of all the Vedic literatures. They can serve the Supreme Lord in Shantaras. One aspires to be like Lord Krishna's cows, or the sticks, or flute in his hand, or the flowers around his neck. So this is Shantarasa. Dasarasa, one follows in the footsteps of servants like Chitraka, Patraka, and Raktaka. Sakyarasa, one can become a friend like Baldeva, Sridama, or Sudama, Lord Krishna's Gopa friends. Vasalya Rasa, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and elderly Vrajavasis who had parental affection for Lord Krishna. Madhurya Rasa, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or her lady friends such as Lalita and her servant mates Manjaris like Rupa and Ratimanjari. So like that, one can become one of Lord Krishna's associates and will serve Lord Krishna in this way. This is the essence of all instructions in the matter of bhakti. So bhakti ends here, cultivating this desire. So it is like that. So we have kind of discussed elaborately about all these points. So quickly in 2 minutes, we'll kind of conclude this chapter. We have 3 more verses. Just briefly we see. So without devotion to me, there is no deliverance. Lord says that without serving me, no one can aspire to become like that, or no one can come to this place, becoming one of my associate. So Lord says here that Nanyatramad Bhagavata Pradana Purusheshwarat Atmana Sarva Bhutanam Bayam Tivram Nivartate. Here Lord says that except by devotion unto me as Krishna Bhagavan or as Rama, the Lord of Vaikuntha, or by devotion to the Purusha avatars intense fear in the material world cannot be stopped. Na anyatra mad bhagavata. Other than Lord serving Lord Krishna, considering him as Bhagavan, or serving Lord Ram, who is the Lord of Vaikunta, Pradhana Purusheshwaras, or serving the three Purushavasaras, who are Paramatmas, Atmana Sarvabhutanam, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, or Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, are all the other avatars, the Tivra Bhaya will not go away from us. One cannot be freed from the intense fear of material existence. Fear of material world can be overcome only by Ananya Bhakti unto the Supreme Lord. So, though having unlimited forms at the object of Bhakti, the Lord has three specific forms which should be served, starting from his highest form. First, the form of Bhagavan fully manifests as Lord Krishna alone. Krishnastu Bhagavan. Either one should serve Lord Krishna directly at the object of worship. Next is Sri Rama. One should make Lord Rama as the object of worship, who is the Lord of the spiritual world, Pradhana Purusheshwara. And third, Atmana Sarvabhutanam. The third takes the three forms as the Antaryami of Jiva. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the Paramatma of all the living entities. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the Paramatma of the entire universe. And Karnodakshaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu is the Paramatma of the entire Prakriti, material nature. So one can select Kshirodakshaya Vishnu or Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karnodakshaya Vishnu as one's object of worship, or one can also select other avatars such as Matsya, Kurma, Hagriva, Varaha as the object of worship. Either Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, or all the avatars in third category. So by selecting them, one can be freed from the fear of samsara and can go back to Godhead and become one of the Lord's associate. Other than selecting anyone else, one cannot become freed from the fear of samsara. Then the question comes. We have just said that devotees worship you without worshipping others. While will the devatas not being worshipped become angry and give suffering to your devotees sometimes? The Lord answers with pride. So you are not recommending the devotees to worship the devatas. Will they become angry and they cause trouble to devotees? The Lord says, Madbhayadvati vatoyam suryas tapati madbhayat varchatindro dahati agnir mutyus charati madbhayat. Out of fear of me, the wind blows. Vati vatoyam. Out of fear of me, the sun shines. Suryas tapati madbhayat. Out of fear of me, Indra pours rain. Varshati Indra. And fire burns. Dahati agnir. Out of fear of me, death flees. Mrutyus charati madbhayat. Out of fear of me, Mutyu does not come to my devotees. It's like that. Won't the devatas become upset if I just worship you? Lord says, never. All devatas are fearful of me because I am their master, I am their controller. If they sometimes harass my devotees, I do not delay in removing them from their position. If Indra causes trouble to my devotees, I will remove Indra from that post and put somebody else in that Indra post. Something like that. So Lord says that, my dear devotees, don't worry. Just continue to serve me. Then, having described pure bhakti, Lord Kapila now describes the bhakti mixed with little jnana and yoga. Jnana mishra bhakti or yoga mishra bhakti. Jnana vairagya yuktena bhakti yogena yogina kshemaya padam ulam me pravishanti akuto bayam. The jnanis and yogis take shelter of my feet, which is the abode of fearlessness, by bhakti mixed with jnana and yoga or vairagya for attaining the highest benefit. Even other sadhakas who are not able to practice ananya bhakti, they can practice bhakti with little mixture of karma, jnana, yoga. Even then, the Lord, after fulfilling their material desires, award them residence in the spiritual world. What to speak of the pure devotees? Even the mixed devotees, yogis and jnanis, can attain perfection for their process only by taking shelter of my lotus feet alone. Even though they may be practicing jnana, yoga side by side, but ultimately one need to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. That will only award them the final result and final destination. And finally, this chapter ends glorifying the superlative position of bhakti. Etavaneva lokasmin pumsham nishreya sodaya tivrena bhakti yogena manomai arpitam stiram. It says that the mind offered to me with pure bhakti, with steadiness alone, creates the highest benefit for men in this world. The highest benefit all of us can attain, that is going back to Golok Vrindavan and becoming Lord's one of eternal associates and serving Lord Krishna in Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, and Madhuri Rasas is only possible when our mind is completely offered unto Krishna with pure bhakti, with steadiness, and unto Krishna alone. That brings one to the highest position. But the greatest benefit can be achieved only by offering one's mind in pure bhakti to me. Thus, pure bhakti offered to me the best of all. There is nothing higher than this. Everything else is inferior. This bhakti is firm, without cheating, devoid of karma, jnana, and it's completely pure. So these are the different attributes of that bhakti. When one practices this bhakti, one will go back home back to Godhead. The same thing is also mentioned in the past in the Bhagavatam, 2nd canto 3rd chapter and 2nd canto 2nd chapter. Etavan eva jayatam yahanishodaya bhagavati achulo bhava yadmad bhagavata sangata. Auspiciousness arises for the worshippers of devatas if firm devotion for the Lord arises from association devotees. Even for others like karmis, jnanis, yogis, and devata worshippers, they can get the highest benefit only when they come in the association of devotees and start practicing bhakti. That is the highest benefit. Nahi ato nya shiva panta vishata samsruta viha vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yogo yato bhavet. So this verse says that there is no other auspicious path for those suffering in the material world other than bhakti, because bhakti produces prema for Bhagavan Vasudeva. It is only bhakti can award prema. The practice of jnana yoga can award at most sayuja, the karma can award sarga, and it is only bhakti can award all these benefits and also prema unto Bhagavan. Thus, the highest position of bhakti is indicated here in this last verse of this chapter. So, thus, in this chapter, Lord Kapila glorifies the position of bhakti and inspires all of us by indicating what kind of result is awaiting to a devotee. So when we understand that this kind of result is being offered, so any devotee, whoever hears, will get inspired to practice that bhakti. So that is the intention of this chapter. So, Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here for today.
Prabhuji, can we request His Grace Ruchivanu Prabhuji for a kirtan if there are no questions?
Yes, Prabhu. Should we take questions if the devotees have now?
Yeah, we can take questions. Yeah, after we can have questions.
Okay, we will have some kirtan, then we'll have questions otherwise. Or we'll take questions and then we'll have kirtan.
Yeah, we'll take questions and then we'll have kirtan.
Okay. Any doubts or clarifications till now, Prabhuji or Mataji? Seems that there are no questions, so devotees are satisfied. So, Prabhuji, we can have kirtan for a few minutes. Is it possible?
Are you able to hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Now we are able to hear you.